Hey guys, Twitter is back! Yeah, in case you didn't hear, here in Brazil there was a bunch of shit going on, it was a whole thing. But what matters now is that I have complete and unrestricted access to people saying dumb shit online. And as you may know, I am a terminally online person and I do have a huge superiority complex, so I love seeing people that I consider to be inferior than me saying their dumb shit so I can point and laugh. And nothing gives me more satisfaction than reading book discourse. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. It's just a bunch of people that were told as children that they were super special for managing to read Harry Potter in one sitting, but now they grew up and the world doesn't consider them to be special little angels anymore and they just get super mad about it. It's great. You have the classics, you have the yearly Catcher in the Rye, Discourse saying that, oh my god, why is this book considered a classic? Why do I have to read it? You still have people whining about e-readers versus books and being like, oh my god, because books are so much better because you can smell the pages. But now we're going to talk about one specific event that happened while I was away. So there was a tweet in which the guy was reading like an article and printed it. I'm not going to read the article because, I mean, this is Twitter. I don't go and read the articles to form an unbiased opinion on them. I just see the tweets and I see the screenshots and I just assume that's the whole thing. Why do I need to read more? It's stupid. I don't read. Nobody reads anymore. Over and over, the professors I spoke with painted a grim picture of a young people's reading habits. For years, James has asked his first years about their favorite book. In the past, they cited books such as Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre. Now, he says, almost half of them cite young adult books. Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series seems to be a particular favorite. And the guy said, this fucking sucks, man. And let's see the replies. I really doubt any incoming college freshman in the last 50 years has ever said that their favorite book was Wuthering Heights or Jane Eyre. Haven't read either of them, can't discuss, but Wuthering Heights is pretty popular, right? I mean, it's pretty gothic. I know that there are a lot of people that enjoy that. This implies that for now, students' pool from which they select their favorite was required reading, and this new cohort selecting from a pool that additionally includes books they've chosen to read without prompting. Yeah, I don't buy that. I mean, are we seriously going to say that people used to read less before the internet, before shit? And also, can I just say that if you're going to choose an academic path regarding reading, probably basing your expectations on what you read in school is probably the safest choice than stuff that you read for fun. I would be concerned if I was teaching a course that was related to reading or to, the academic approach of literature and people just started talking to me about reading for fun, because that's not how it works. I mean, everything that you do, like, it's very different doing this for fun or doing this for a job. Cooking, for example, or making art. So I do think that it is a little bit concerning that people didn't look at the academic reading being like, I like being assigned books that I might not particularly personally like, but I do like the intellectual exploration of them. And I'm going to say that when I go to college, I am concerned that this is not happening anymore. I don't blame kids for not reading 19th century British novels that you need a literal English master's student to translate into the vernacular and are overrated anyhow, but there are plenty of good 20th century novels that are written in actual English. I don't think they are talking about that. Percy Jackson is now 20th century. But anyway, I mean, you can read plenty of English 19th century literature without needing literal English master translation. It's actually kind of interesting when you compare English to a language like Portuguese, for example. Like, it's pretty much impossible for you to read 19th century Brazilian literature because there were so many grammatical changes, there were so many vocabulary changes. But English is just remain pretty constant. You can actually fire up a Shakespeare sonnet and understand it pretty clearly. It's much harder to do that in Portuguese. This is insanely condescending. I teach both high school and college. If you're judging the student populace on their favorite books instead of the fact that they actually read, then you're part of the problem. Listen, if you're going to college, it's kind of expected that you read. When did reading become this fucking participation trophy? Am I supposed to compliment people that they read, even if the stuff they read is like just for entertainment? Pretty much the same way that I'm supposed to compliment people for watching a fucking Marvel movie. I guess that it's great that you're reading, that you read stuff before you got into college. Here's a fucking applause. This is just so fucking condescending. I don't want people to applaud me because I read books. I want to applaud me because of the thoughts that I have on the books that I read, because I am a pretty smart person that is capable of thinking about the things that I consume, not because I'm capable of putting a piece of paper in front of me and reading the words. Young people like books for young people. No shit, idiot. Do these people remember being a teenager? Because I think that their experience with teenagers is very different than mine. I mean, when I was in high school, there was the time when all the teenagers were trying to get edgy, were trying to get like into subcultures, to try to not be like all the other girls or whatever. I was in high school, I read a lot of dystopias. My friend read a lot of Sherlock Holmes and detective books. I had friends that were starting to get political and would start reading actual communist literature. There were people that, for example, were getting really into subcultures of music and making their own stuff. Like, seriously, do you guys not remember being teenagers? Do you guys not remember getting really into a thing and going deeper into that and telling your mom like, oh my god, it's not a phase? Like, teenagers aren't stupid, teenagers aren't dumb, teenagers actually experience a lot of judgment from adults. Adults say that teenagers are dumb or stupid and they are irresponsible, and teenagers want to prove themselves better than that. They were like, oh my god, all these adults judged me too much, I'm not like that, and they try to prove that to themselves, to their parents. They try getting into deeper shit. You have a bunch of teenagers reading Kafka and H.P. Lovecraft because they like all that edgy, dark shit. It's weird. I don't think that this is the experience that I have with teenagers. This is what I'm saying. I think that like people say, oh, because these books are for teenagers. Most books for teenagers are actually read by children that want to look like older than they actually are. Here in Brazil, there are those magazines, those boy magazines. They were read by people in middle school, 13, 12-year-olds wanting to read about High School Musical or whatever. Teenagers don't read that crap. So yeah, I don't think these people remember actually being teenagers, or maybe they were really boring teenagers. Who knows? This doesn't suck, it just means students don't feel the need to lie to seem smart anymore. You would prefer to be honest. Should they expand their horizons? Sure, but let's not pretend all their kids were being honest about enjoying J9 or Wuthering Heights. Yeah, you should lie to try to sound smarter to your college teacher. Like, let me put it this way. If you're inviting people over, you tidy up your house. Even if you don't live in a completely tidy up house, if you're going on a first date with someone, you do dress your best, even though that's not how you normally dress. First, because it's a sign of respect, like you do respect the people that you're hanging out with and you want them to have the best times possible, but also it is expected that you try your best, and if you don't, people will assume you did and that you can't go any further than that. Honestly, I don't understand why people think it's such a big deal to lie about the books that you've read. Obviously, if you want to discuss literature, you should be honest about the books that you've read. But if you want to tell people, oh man, I sure love Jane Eyre, I mean, go ahead and do that, as long as you've actually read the book and you are capable of maintaining a discussion about it. If I ask you more questions, then sure, lie. Say that you liked the book and be pretentious. Who cares? I think that you should try to look smarter to other people. That's a pretty good way to try to self-improve. I actually like the fortune lit culture better than the book talk culture because fortune readers actually like lie about reading good shit, complicated stuff that has really long pages and dense vocabulary, try to sound smart and try to earn your respect. But book talkers are reading stuff that is being marketed as fun, as light reading, are reading porn to enjoy themselves. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not going to inherently earn my respect, and it would be stupid for it to pretend so, you know. Sure, citing Percy Jackson as your favorite book in a college literature class is embarrassing, but we've been doing the kids these days don't read think pieces for decades now. You could change Percy Jackson for Harry Potter, and this could have been published in 2002. Yeah, here's the thing. First of all, people are saying that they love Harry Potter anyways. And second, the guy is saying that he's noticing the change in his classroom. I mean, I suppose we could, pull out and do a research, but this is pretty much based on anecdotal evidence. It's something that he noticed throughout the years. I suppose we could say that he had the expectation of, oh, in my youth, people read more than today. I mean, that would be pretty biased, but he's talking about the same environment all the time. His class, first day, and he has noticed the changes through the years. So it's not just, oh, kids these days don't read anymore. It's something that he actually noticed. I have a PhD. When I was 18, my favorite books included Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. It was the Star Wars Expanded Universe series. The kids are alright. You see, that's the thing that I'm talking about. When you are a teenager or when you're in that age, you do want to dive deep into stuff that you like in order to try to form an identity, in order to try to prove that you're not as stupid as people think that you are. This is what I'm talking about. Reading a fucking Star Wars Expanded Universe book is not the same as reading Percy Jackson. Even if the book is Star Wars, there weren't as many people reading it. I mean, I have no fucking idea what that is. In pretty much the same way that nobody read all the Halo books except for that one unraveled video that the poor guy had to do it. So yeah, I wouldn't say that it's the same thing. You're being very deep into subculture that you have looked into, not same thing. Claudia and Percy Jackson, Young Adult is actually too charitable. That series is for 10 years old. People are acting like this is pretentious bullying. Those are children's books. They're just objectively children's books. Read whatever you want at whatever age you want, but don't pretend it's cool and normal that college students haven't moved on to more challenging material. It depresses me to think that teenagers are not reading adult books. That's the prime time to do it. Most people will never have more free time and emotional intensity all at once than when they're 16. Try to waste that on kids' books, I'm sorry. Yeah, I actually completely agree. You should spend your teenage years trying to form your own identity and trying to get deeper into things that you like, as I have previously stated. But I didn't really think about thing about time and energy. I mean, people do talk a lot about recommend reading for schools, books that are forced to read. But I think it's actually good that you as a teenager, you can engage in classic works of literature for a grade, like you're actually literally forced to, because there's never going to be another time in your life when you can do that. I mean, maybe if you go to college and you pursue an education, you're reading books, but if you go to, I don't know, engineering, you become a doctor, I don't think it's ever gonna happen again. It's great that you can, sit with a book and read it and spend your time that way for a grade for school. You have to do it. Even if you don't like reading, I think it's good that there's some variety, that it's not just math exercises, biology charts, not just sitting in your desk doing exercise problems or whatever. You can actually, go and take a book to the park and read it, and get a grade out of that. I think it's great. It freaks me out the way adults on the Discourse website so vociferously pretend and insist, think often because they're defensive about their own reading habits, that young people's decline in literacy is totally fine, and that anyone who says otherwise is just an elitist snob. Reading slaps. Being able to read widely and confidently has been one of the greatest privileges of my life, for all my life. Not everyone enjoys reading, it's harder for some than others, and that's all fine, but the way the average has apparently fallen is so grim. I absolutely agree. I agree with all of that. Person that wrote this, good for you. I hope that you aren't problematic and people cut this video 10 years from now and say, yeah, this person praised this Twitter user who poisoned the baby. She's problematic. I hope they don't do that. This isn't even just a reading thing. One of my old professors liked to ask new students what their favorite movie was, and like 90% of the time it was one of the Harry Potters. You wish they'd say Pulp Fiction or 2001 or some other cliche classic. Harry Potter is unironically better than Pulp Fiction and the Space Odyssey. I'm actually surprised by that. Even Harry Potter fans didn't like the movie. Go ahead and ask a Harry Potter fan about the 5th movie. See their opinions. Like, oh my god, because the fucking slave elf thing got totally cut. It was awful. They should have dedicated like 50 minutes to that thing. I'm genuinely surprised that people are citing Harry Potter movies as their favorites. To be honest, I have mostly discovered as a voracious reader who always had high reading ability for my age in general that adult books are mostly young adult books with more sex. What? Adult books are mostly young adult books with more sex? No, they aren't. Like, what are you talking about? Even if you say, like, Lolita has sex, like, is this a young adult book? If you remove the sex from Lolita, it's a young adult book now. Let's see, fucking 984 I think has like sex in it, I suppose. Brave New World's a better example. Brave New World has a whole thing going on. If you remove the sex from Brave New World, does it become a young adult? I don't think so. It's weird. What a weird tweet. You know those people that are like, oh, because in children's books you get to like explore a world and kill a dragon, but adult literature is just English teachers having affairs. I think there was someone wrote something like that. Also, can I just say that if I am discussing literature with you and you bring up how when you were a kid you totally read above your grade, I am losing respect for you. Like, why would that be relevant? Why would the reading level you had when you were a fucking brat be important for this conversation? Are you seriously still riding the height that you had when you were a kid and people were praising you? I mean, or did this go up linearly? Like, if you're an adult and you're 40 years old, I give you Das Kapital, you know, the communist book, and you just look at it and you immediately absorb all information because the reading level is still going up. No, I don't think this is happening. I think they're just stuck in the past and they're trying to use the excuse of, oh, because when I was in 8th grade, I read at the level of a 10th grader, and now they think that their opinion has more value because of that. I don't get it. Before we move on from this tweet, I just want to show another one from the same guy. You know, it's your yearly catching in the right discourse. It's just the prank. I just thought it was really funny. He said, one of George W. Bush's favorite books is The Stranger. One of his dad's favorites was The Catcher in the Rye. This says nothing about Camus or Salinger, but to piece 10 says everything about misguided prodigies in politics and art. It makes a lot more sense that the Bush first was really into Salinger when you consider that Salinger got up to during the war, and I'm really not shocked that one of Bush II's favorite books was written by the guy who thought Algeria should be permanently under the French boot. This is basically like saying Lewis Carroll being the de facto patron saint of pedophiles doesn't say anything about Lewis Carroll's work. Lamau. Okay, cool. I forgot the part where Holden Caulfield solves his crippling depression by joining the French Foreign Legion so he could beat Algerians with the butt of a rifle. Someone reads your book, listens to your music, and then feels comfortable enough with you or your work to promote it, you should take a hard look in the mirror. That's feedback and not a good kind. No one in charge of compiling any of Obama's lists is going to put anything on that wasn't trained and refined through the CIA and State Department calendars, and now those artists and writers know exactly what their jobs are. Yeah, I actually had a pretty similar discussion with my family because they were talking every year Obama releases a list of books, a list of recommended reading. I don't really get the idea of like reading this list and reading Obama's recommendation like, oh man, I'm going to read this book because Obama recommended it. Because it would be one thing if you take recommendations from a critic, from someone whose job is to actually read literature. It's another thing for it to get like from the president of a country. Let's be real here, he didn't read all of those books. It doesn't need to. Like, it would be really weird to think that he would release a list of content that he approves and that wouldn't be valid, like this person said. He's still a politician that has an image to maintain. He's going to say the most elitist shit, being like, oh my god, this book is so fancy, I totally read it. So yeah, I don't think that it's the level that the tweet said, like, oh yeah, because every single book that Obama has endorsed like completely goes with the United States policy, because the United States lies a lot about their policy, right? If you are following the US elections, you're going to hear a bunch of politicians say, oh, because we are working to try to reduce the damage that Israel, Gaza, Palestine wars. And you go and see, oh, because the United States gave $1 billion to Israel and the $1 bombs, and they're using that to bomb a bunch of hospitals. Politicians lie a lot. They will say that, oh, because I think war is bad, I support this book that says the war is bad, but it's not really true, is it? Then again, you need to consider that not all of literature is going to be about the United States foreign policies or affairs, domestic affairs even. There is a vast world out there and a lot of people that don't consider talking about the United States of America to be the main part of their art, believe it or not. So this is still a bit ridiculous. So I'm going to shift to another one. One day I will jump on my soapbox to talk about how important it is for adults to read middle grade books. Hashtag book Twitter. Here's a reply. Yeah, that's all I read. Smiley face. You're a good human. That human there, that was their cherry on top. I'm going to try to find if she actually went in the soapbox and started talking about how adults need to read middle grade books. Let's see. If you're an adult and you're not reading middle grade books, you're failing yourself. Here's why. The MG books I'm talking about are written for kids between age 14 and before you start coming at me saying kids books are for children, therefore are boring, can't fully captivating adults' attention. Let me remind you about a certain boy wizard which took the world by storm. And thought, honestly, there are so many better books right now. It's also one thing that I hate. Like, people keep talking about Harry Potter, being like, oh my god, because Harry Potter was so important for literacy. But they need to add this fucking huge disclaimer, being like, oh, but they're reading it now. It fucking sucks. It's so much better. It's kind of annoying, really. Also, not saying adults should take over the genre to the point that they're not reading for true kids anymore, nor am I saying that as an adult you can't read anything else but MG. Read widely. People who read have greater empathy. Oh my god, how many fucking tweets does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tweets. This thread has 13 tweets. 2 of them, like 3, is just disclaimers being like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you should only read middle grade books, except one person said that on Twitter and I said that they were a good person specifically for that. What I'm saying is that MG books don't shy away from the hard stuff, grief, loss, pain, growth, it's all in there, but it's because it's written for children, it's done with the utmost care and respect and skill and love. You don't think adults in literature does that also? Deal with these topics with care and respect and skill and love. Like, oh, okay. You may be 20 or 30 or 40 or older, but there will always be a kid inside us. Often with unresolved trauma or just downright cherry pie nostalgia. What? Okay, I got to be real with you guys. I don't believe all that like inner child crap. Often with unresolved trauma or just downright cherry pie nostalgia. I have unresolved trauma and cherry pie nostalgia. Not my inner child. What? Like a lot of characteristic people attribute to inner children. It's just me. Like, oh, because inner children like to hope and have fun. Dude, that's just me. That's just a characteristic that I have. Oh, because I watch cartoons, because my inner child wants. Bitch, it's me. It's not my inner child. I watch cartoons because I like them. I don't have this fucking whatever the fuck is going on here. Like some kind of inferiority complex because they like childish stuff, but they can't just say that they like childish stuff. It's for your inner child. But also, you should consume childish stuff. I will defend consuming childish stuff. I don't fucking know what's going on here. You know how you can in such a song be taken back to a moment in time, feel the emotions as if it was happening to you right now? MG books are like that, but are more potent and longer lasting. Again, you don't think adult literature can do that? Oh my god, this thread is so long. It's just like, oh, because it's AMG books give you hope and they give you warm, fuzzy feelings. Prove me wrong. Simply put, adults should read middle grade books because it's good for the soul, so feed it. Listen to this. Just do it. Enjoy it, savor it, time travel to simpler times and heal old hurts you didn't even know you still held on to. And then when you feel that heat of hope at the end and feel your heart expanded, dare you to prove me wrong. This might be being a huge grouch or being a huge asshole, but reading books about made-up situations designed for children to be comforting stories don't make me feel better about the world. It's that fucking Fahrenheit 451 code that I always keep coming back to. Books aren't going to fucking heal you. Books aren't going to solve your problems. They're just going to give you like an understanding here, you know, like, oh, I've been there and I can maybe explain your feelings in a way that you can understand, but I'm not gonna solve your fucking problems. But well, what do you think about all these discussions? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What is your favorite books? Why don't you write down in the comments so we can have a civilized discussion?